Good morning, listeners and viewers. My reaction is simple. The president ended up saying nothing. That's the truth. He was more concerned about not allowing the protest to take place. That has been the struggle of government in the past days until August 1, when Nigerians begin to hit the street. I clearly listened to him, his broadcast, and that's not how to address it. The issue on hand is that inflation has caught up with us. The inflation we have in Nigeria is not known to any economics theory, because by this morning, fuel is selling for 800, PMS is selling for 818 naira. And that's a popular petroleum refined product which most citizens, afford. Gas, cooking gas, is it's not something to also talk about. And talk about the naira, the USD to naira is surging to. In few days, it will get to 2,000 to $1. So I think that's the issue. The hardship is dangerously untold. You can count few Nigerians that has 5,000 naira as their bank, in their banks as balance. And if you have that 5,000, what can it do for you? 1,000 naira cannot feed anybody now. So the situation is so bad. And the issues the protesters are raising, Nigerians are raising, everybody is protesting. Everybody is protesting. If you place ballot this morning or tomorrow, I can assure you, and ask Nigerians to come and vote, they will not just vote, they will ensure that this regime is thrown out of place. So the president needs to sit down and I don't know whether I don't know whether this is the magic he did in Lagos.
Well, there is no government that would want to, on its own, inflict hardship on its people. Like, you don't just knowingly put people into more hardship. He says that some of the measures I say has put in place would yield results in a couple of years. Yes, 1 year is down the line, but he has 3 more years to go plus. But he says, give him more time. And some of these things, he reeled out some of the advantages of removing fuel subsidy. Remember, we were using our revenue before he came in. 97% of our revenue was used to service our debt. Now, it's down to 68%, meaning there is more monies for the government and the state to be able to sponsor, some of these things that they are doing with the school loans, investment in infrastructure, critical infrastructure, and the monies that we're seeing that are being given to states. It's actually more money. In fact, states are receiving more than 100% of what they used to have. So sometimes you have to excuse him and say, you know what, can we just give him some time? I know, it's hard, it's tough. Food inflation is over 40%. Headline inflation is around 35%. But I'm just wondering, wouldn't it be a good thing to just allow him a little bit more time to see where this takes us?
He has all the time, because when the presidential campaigns were on, they made promises. I don't think the APC-led federal government has any excuse, because it's a continuation of the administration. It's not a new political party that came on board with a new manifesto. It's the same APC that is there. Buhari did 8 years, and now he himself is still there. So is he saying that does it imply that they came in and scrapped everything the other regime did? So the meaning is that you don't have a political party, or the party doesn't have a manifesto. And if the party doesn't have a manifesto, so someone is ruling Nigeria just the way he cherishes. See what is going on. The truth is that there is a way out of this shit. I call it shit because something that afflicts everybody. It's like in the time of Pharaoh and Joseph in the Bible, when Egypt was completely down and they experience this type of situation. So the way out, I think, is that federal government is holding on to a lot of money. They are holding on to 52.8 or 12% of the national economy, national income. So what do they expect to do with that? They don't need it. The money should go more to the local government system and the state. Give the states, give the local government 40% of the national revenue. Give the state 35% of the national revenue, or 38%, and they return the balance up there. What are they doing with the money? So the challenges we have is duplications of responsibilities. You have Federal Ministry of Agriculture, you have State Ministry of Agriculture, and you have Agricultural Department in the local government. So what are they doing? Is it not human beings that are employing? And they that listen to IMF and World Bank and carry out their economic propositions, don't they visit international countries? Don't they visit countries like America and things like that? We don't have ministers of this and that or in the countries they visit. You have secretaries responsible for departments. So that is the way I look at it. The way out is to alter. The National Assembly should alter. Even Nigerians that are protesting on the street should leave the street and go and face their representatives in the National Assembly. And then propose to them that they need to alter the revenue sharing formula. The states and the local government system should agitate for that.
But even the money is going to the state. How judiciously have they even used it? Sometimes these protests are somewhat misguided. The government of Tinubu is not the only government in Nigeria. I mean, every day we hear monies have been disbursed to states, rice have been sent to states, food have been sent to states. As of this morning, 570 billion naira hardship allowance sent to states.
Why
for
do you
state
spend?
governors.
Why
So
do you need to share? Where do you need to share 500 and something billion, or even if it's 300 trillion? You don't need to share it.
But is it his fault now?
No, it's my fault. Nigerians they won told the government, repair the 4 refineries, put it to work. Repair Ajokuta, put it to work. Increase the number of cement manufacturing companies. We have limestone in 14 states in this country. So, and why should it be 2 companies producing cement? So these things are the issues. Monopoly everywhere. And why is government encouraging monopoly? So when you look at it, that's why I say the states are not to be blamed, because no state can award any contract now. For instance, in Enugu State have to, as a state, have to acquire their own asphalt, point or base. They get these stones, quarry it on their own and all whatnot, because you hardly award a contract now. If you award a contract for supply of this cup, by the time the contractor leave their door and get to the market, bros, this will have multiplied prices over 60 times.
Okay, before we continue, would it be said from the president's speech, would it be deduced that the people that fought against the protest were influenced by the president? The
people that fought against the protest, the people that protested are the ones that fought. Anti-protesters. Anti-protesters are, these are things we are used to. I'm a politician, so I know how it is done. But that 20,000 or 15,000 that was given to those anti-protesters, by the time they burn it out in the night, they will still condemn the same president. So it's not necessary. The way out of this, more money to local government system and then more money to states. The federal government don't need 52.12% of national revenue. They are not doing anything with it. That is the way to cut cost in governance at that level. So if you have more money in the state can provide, citizens living in the state with various systems or various types of transportation. The problem is PMS. The problem is petroleum. So if you give this money to states and local government, it doesn't matter. Put your dollar at 1 trillion naira to dollar. But the important thing is that economic activities, agriculture is flourishing, health is there for the people, education is working, and things like that.
Right. I'm just wondering, really. You mentioned that should be more monies for the state and local government.
Yes.
Only this morning we heard that 33 local government chairmen of Oyo State are pulling out of Algon, that they want the status quo to remain, that the monies sent by the federal government should come through the states rather than what the Supreme Court has pronounced, that each local government should have autonomy in terms of finance as to the development of the local government. And I'm just wondering, to what extent do they have this right? Even if more monies are given to the local government, wouldn't it be that same regurgitating cycle that we're going through, where local government chairman would remit these monies to the state, back to the state governors, if at all it happens that the status quo, by the Supreme Court remains?
I don't agree with that Supreme Court judgment. Something just happened. Someone just went to court just to fly a kite, because section 162 sub 6 is clear on local government and state account system. It's called JAC. It's a constitutional establishment until you amend section 162 sub 6. No local government can have money on its own. Yes.
Are you saying the Supreme Court was wrong?
They were wrong. They erred, and that's why the states are getting ready to also work against it, because they created that constitutional crisis. Every lawyer knows that. That section 162, until it's amended, the states and the local government will continue to have a joint account. And then what you ask yourself, what is the mind of the writer of the Constitution? What was the mind of the writers? What do they have in mind when they brought to bear that section 162 sub 6, so that somebody can supervise the other?
So what does it say on 162?
162 say that there shall be a joint account system between the local government and the state. Sub 5 says that the National Assembly shall consistently or regularly make laws and then channel local government funds through the state. That is a simple statement of that provision. So any person saying that we are giving judgment that this money go to the account directly, let the person go and send the money directly.
Wow.
Because the meaning is this. Does it mean that those that get the judgment are not aware of section 162 sub 2 and sub 6 and sub 5? Are they not aware of it? It's a constitutional issue. It's like somebody flying kite, hoping that, children and their way of life. For me.
But the Supreme Court judgment doesn't supersede that particular
Supreme Court judgment cannot supersede the creator of Supreme Court. The creator of Supreme Court is the Constitution. There is no judgment they can give outside the stipulations of the Constitution. They must follow the Constitution. So, after this protest, you will see the governors will go back to Supreme Court and ask them to review themselves. The 36 states will go to Supreme Court and ask them to review themselves.
So, Mr. Nwachukwu,
yes.
You would see that this 1999 Constitution, many people have faulted it, have actually said it has some lapses, and that allows government to mismanage or carry out some dominions that it's not in tandem with the society. What can be done to fix it? What do you think can be done to fix this 1999 constitutional amendment? Should it be scrapped totally and a new one written, or should we find a way to adjust it?
If you scrap it, you scrap all that is created, inclusive this government. So globally, we know that constitutional amendments come gradually. You don't just wake up and say this constitution did this or doesn't do that. After all, we have so many laws. Apart from constitutional provisions, there are other bylaws that apply in the governance of our country, state and local government system. So Why are we not sticking sticking to those bylaws? Because where the constitution did not get it correct, the same constitution make way for the National Assembly, State Assembly, or the legislative council of a local government to make laws on their own from where the constitution stopped. So for me, I don't believe that those that wrote that constitution came from the moon. They are Nigerians. They are Nigerians that was called from different parts of the country. The Constitutional Conference representation or representatives was drawn from various parts of the country. In fact, I thought it was 1 or 2 persons per local government. They met there. They were professors. There were no illiterates in their midst. They were core elites. So they have made the law. If you don't like A, they made the law and also provided how you can amend a particular section of the Constitution if it's not working. So why is National Assembly not doing their job? National Assembly is not doing their job because you have men and women mostly who don't understand the business of lawmaking, and they are there. That is the truth. Same apply to states. So there is need, not just going to school, but we should have institutes or educational institutions that can train persons of interest that want to go for pure legislative representation. And then you also need men who understand public administration as a course, right, and public administration and whatever governance management and things like that. You need institutes that will educate people on that and then prepare them.
I was going to ask you,
yes,
for you, with what we have seen in the past where governors take these monies because of the joint account system that we usually have, governors take these monies and decide what it remains to the local government. I understand you have cited the Constitution, which you said must be amended before the implementation of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
I'm wondering, for you, is it not a moral thing for the for the monies allocated to the local government to go directly to them, so that we can have development in that particular section that have suffered neglect in so many years?
See, every state meets, every state executive council meets weekly, and they bring up programs that they intend executing. And these local governments, actually, some state governors abuse this process or that process. That one is not out of sight, but you cannot lay hand on any governor that have abused the local government system fund. You can't point at one governor. And no one sitting chairman or ex can come out and say this governor did this or the other governor did that.
Why so?
Why so is because they have their secrets. That's all the thing. But the issue is, if you're talking about local government autonomy, you have to alter the ways of getting to that local government. One of it is the democratic process as guaranteed by Section 7 of the Constitution. Who conducts the election of local government areas is very important.
The state NSEC as
yes,
it stands?
State NSEC. If it is state NSEC, what does the governor, that's where the problem started. What does the governor of state do with their political parties? And why is it that other parties don't contest for local government elections? They only contest for national elections. So something is wrong somewhere with the umpire, the body that conducts these elections in the state. Or because the political parties, by their body language and their abstinence, what they portray is that we don't trust this process. So we need a process they can trust. And that's why we need to take away the election of to local government offices. Take it away from the state NSECs. It can still be a state NSEC, but it must be seen to be independent. It must be seen to be independent so that whatever you have at the national level is also replicated at the state level. That's the way I see
But
it.
if for instance, we have, okay, I'm going to come to that because there's something I wanted to ask you. If you're actually going to change something and maybe do a reform as it relates to the electoral system, it has to be holistic.
It has to be holistic.
Because you can't say governors would not have the right to appoint the leader of or the executives of the state electoral body, and then the president will do the same thing at the federal level.
No, you don't say that.
Okay, well, I think we'll come to that. We'll talk a little more about that particular development. But we have breaking news coming in from Abuja, the federal capital, especially as it concerns to protests. So we're hearing and seeing that there might have been some arrests made by the DSS, but we would give you a little more detail right after the short break. To stay with us. Here's the breaking news that we're following for you. Reports reaching Signature TV say operatives of the Department of State Services have arrested one of the leaders of the ongoing End Bad Governance protests in the Federal Capital Territory, Michael Lenin. Lenin was picked up by the DSS around 2 a.m. on Monday at his residence in the Apo area of the FCT. Speaking on the matter, the Director of Mobilization, Take It Back Movement, Damilare Adenola, said Lenin's house was raided by the DSS. He alleged that the DSS also assaulted him during his arrests. Adenola said Lenin has been arrested by the DSS. He was picked up during a raid on his house around 2 a.m. He was arrested and tortured in the presence of his family. We're demanding his immediate and unconditional release. The DSS spokesperson, Peter Afunaya, could not be reached as of the time of the reports. Interesting development as it concerns this protest. The president told the protesters yesterday to shun all forms of protest, given that he's addressing some of the issues that they have raised. With this latest development, do you see an end in sight with what we're seeing?
Well, if they have arrested Lenin, the meaning is that he has committed an offense. He has breached possibly the presidential pronouncement. But what does the law say? The law says you can protest peacefully. That's the position of the law. So let them charge him to court if it's an offense. That's number one. Number two is that I have said that people should go and protest to their National Assembly representatives. They know their houses. I know the house of my own representative. So I don't need to enter the street. All I need to do is pick my pen and paper and do the needful and forward it to him. If he doesn't listen to my proposition, and then if you have majority of the people from his my federal constituency writing him on same issue, and he doesn't listen, by next election we'll teach him a very big lesson.
Occupy Abuja has been trending since yesterday. It's been 24 hours since Occupy Abuja has been trending. It does look like this protest, the protesters, the organizers of the protests, actually looking at a totally different style going forward. They want to, condition their movement in Lagos and Abuja. Do you think this would work, and to what extent would it work?
Well, for them that's doing that knows how it works for them. Otherwise, we have everybody in Nigeria is protesting. The hunger is not for one citizen, it's for everybody. But my position is that Nigerians should carry this protest to their House of Reps and Senate representatives. Go there and tell them that let the national revenue sharing formula be altered that you people want more money to the local government, more money to the state and less money in the hands of the federal government. That is the main protest. It will solve all this problem. So that if your local government area is not working, you know who to hold. So that if the state is not doing what it should do, then you know who to hold. Somebody said, okay, like you said, 500 something billion naira you are giving to states, to sharing to state to cushion this and cushion that. Why don't you put it in the refinery? Why don't you use the coastal road fund, 15 trillion, and then repair our railways across the country and give the citizens an alternative transport system? Why don't you put in place dredge oceans and rivers, so that you can have water transport? People that are there can transport their goods and services, using the water. They are cheaper because the what do you call it? The trains have space wagons that carry more people than coaches and wagons that carry goods and services. In fact, goods, you can transport economic produces using the rail line at a very cheaper rate. It used to be. So why not put that money and put the railway in order? Forget about the coastal highway. Nigerians don't need it. What they need is a transport system that is affordable. Yes, because road transport is not working because of cost of PMS. But the train have more coaches and more goods wagons. So point to point, they can pick up agricultural produce and then move it to city. I grew up in Enugu. I know what I'm telling you. So that is why I look at it. For me, this Occupy Abuja, do this until they do that and that. Carry this matter to your representative in the National Assembly.
All right.
Take it there.
The Southeast.
Yes.
Was quiet throughout the protests in the last 4 days. David Umahi of Ebonyi State, former governor of Ebonyi State, and Peter Amba hailed, and even Ohanes Ndibo has hailed the Igbos for not coming out to protest. What's your reaction to that? Is it a welcome development?
My brother, you see, Igbos are tired of these how do I put, marginalization they are going through in the country. They're actually tired of it. Already they have one unofficial day that they stay away from their businesses. And then you want them also to continue with that. You need to understand the way the Igbo man exists. They make money by day and then they run their families through the incomes they earn in a day. So nobody wants anybody to destroy his business or her business. Not that they are not feeling the pain. They are feeling the pain. After all, the MPC interest rate increment, 38% loan interest rate by banks affects them. It affects the Igbo business, Igbo citizens' businesses dangerously. Because how do you borrow 1 million naira? The banks no longer give long-term loans. They give what they call short-term loans. And then you take 1 million naira and you're going to pay a bank 38% of it. So that's 380,000. How do you do that? So everybody is feeling this brunt. Everybody is feeling this pain. I think the main problem is that the government is not prioritizing the citizens. The government, I don't know how those representing and those manning the executive positions, I don't know how they see these things. Whether they know that they are working for an environment or whether they think that they are working for something in the sky. Because if it is for the people, all these demands and all whatnot will not be coming, because when you get there, you do the needful. You know it's human beings you are governing. So you go there and work for them. You work for your environment. Okay? So I want to say that until government begin to prioritize the citizens, it will be difficult for things to move on.
With what we've seen with the broadcast by the president, do you think that the people would accept it and go back and give him time, or do you think that the broadcast would basically worsen the protest?
The broadcast did not address the petroleum issue. The broadcast did not address the pump price of PMS. It did not address food scarcity. The only way to address food scarcity now, because people are afraid to move to their farms, is to alter the national revenue sharing formula. If the local governments have more money, people will relocate back to their various communities, live in their places, engage in trade and commerce in their places, get into agricultural business in their places, because the local government has been empowered. There will be no excuses from the states why a local government system is not working. Okay? So, people say this, that states take over local government funds and all whatnot. No, it's not true. It is the joint implementations of their programs that create these things. For instance, when Sullivan Chime was governor of Tinubu'S state, we saw a lot of effective infrastructural development, and it was coming from joint action of the state and the local government. So I think the same thing continued. It may not be everywhere, you may not experience it everywhere, but it continued. And then look at the massive job that is going on in Enugu. There's no way only the state government will be backing out. It's a joint thing. It's a joint thing. So you bring your own, I bring my own, and then it works. And by the way, no state can survive now, despite the funds you give to them, because most states cannot award contracts for anything. They just come into their metropolis, do one ring road, capture it in television, and then that's it. Because they don't have the money.
But we hear that there have been more monies given to them from the allocation, from the federal allocation. I mean, that's a fact. Some even receive more than 100% of what they used to receive. So no matter how you want to look at it, yes, we have inflation, but market surveys have to do with real-time surveys and real-time purchases of something. We cannot stall the government and say, oh, well, because there's inflation, we will not be able to do what exactly the money is actually used for.
If they get these funds, do they keep it? They don't keep it. They pay their contractors. They pay their staff. They pay those in education. They pay pensioners' funds. Okay? They still, do constructions. They embark on infrastructural development. For instance, in Enugu State, smart schools are being developed here and there. It costs a lot of money. So it's not an easy thing. So they need more money. I insist, and that's my own protest, that the federal government does not need 52.12% of national revenue. They don't need it.
So if you were to share, for instance, how would you share it?
40% to the local government system, 38% to the states, that's 82, and then 35 to states. Let the federal government retain just 20% of the national revenue.
But what about the federal project? Would it be effective? Would they be able to carry out what they need to do with the 20?
Once the revenue system is altered, all this federal, that will be moved to state. That's how it's. If you go to Britain, that's what they do. If you go to the national government in overseas, what they call classical democracies, is just intervening government, the intervention government. They don't construct roads. It's the state and local government that construct roads. They don't build schools. It's state and local government that handle the school education.
Okay.
So their own is just on monetary policy, regulator. They're just regulatory. That's what they do. And then they face international front. Okay? They attract. Now, somebody said, I had one of the ministers say that they are attracting foreign investment. Which foreign investment are you attracting? When indigenous investments are collapsing and dying off.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tony Nwachukwu. You've been helping us broaden the horizon about the hunger and hardship protests that have been ongoing. They actually started since the 1st of August, and also considering the presidential speech and the impact. What has it done so far? Has it actually brought light, or did it throw more darkness into the nation? We're still on this and more after this short break.